Yes, please.
Yeah, welcome everyone. I'm deeply honored to be introducing Tanuksha Das ji. We fondly call him Tanmoy ji, uh, and his book onto this our club. It's the reading of the book, like you understand that when a scientist and a very logical mind understands bhakti, how transformational that can be, and how the explanation can be so clear. The reading of the book, The Silence Renaissance of Consciousness, was a awakening experience for me in understanding Bhakti Marg. Even though I grew up with Bhakti Marg tradition, and we all know about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I didn't really understand its social impact, like, and the environmental impact till I read this book, as well as how it, like, really the science actually kind of goes there. So we are really incredibly fortunate to have Tanmoji with us today to take us through the writing of the book and his motivation. Um, Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Tanmoji.
Thank you, Anjali ji, and thank you, Pooja ji, for hosting this program and the book club for giving the platform to share the experience that I have in discussing this transcendental love that was bestowed to the humanity by Sri Krishna Chaitanya, who appeared in late 15th century, 1486 Christian era. First, I want to explain a little bit about why this thought came to my mind to share this information. Because when I sent the draft to some of my senior god brothers and god sisters for review, one of them, Shamarani Didi, especially, who I am indebted to for guiding me to deliver this, and asked me a question that I was not prepared before. She asked point blank that why did I choose to write on Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because in our disciplic succession and since Sri Chaitanya appeared, thousands of books, volumes have been written by pure devotees, transcendental personalities, and specifically our Guru Varga like Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Saraswati Siddhanta Prabhupada, Swami Prabhupada, and our beloved Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. So I had to think about why and do some soul searching, and I found out that really there is no stop to describe and share information and your experience, you may call realization, about the absolute and the infinite that God is. Every living entity is his part and parcel. And if that living entity somehow or other gets to just worship, if not love, the supreme entity that he or she is part and parcel of, then that entity will get some experience in life that will strengthen and boost that particular experience and love for the Godhead. So it is always an unending process of expressing yourself, how you feel about that supreme entity, and share with others. And there is no time where this should be stopped, or nor this should end. As the humanity continues, it should go on. Other thing that I also want to mention, that being a student of science and engineering, I had a perspective that I wanted to put forth for the younger generation, those who will come across the newer technologies, science, innovations, and things like that, that will really shape their mind in a way that they tend to believe if a scientist says something. But if we say the same thing has been and had been shown to us many thousands of years ago through the timeless time, that has been practiced also and shown the result, they will not accept it on the face of it. So I wanted to include some of the scientific concepts to the science of devotion, that is, the spiritual science with the material science. So that's the first slide I wanted to share. Before I start, I want you all who all are present, there are senior God brothers, there are many newcomers and people who have not even heard about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are possibly there in the participants. So we would all like to pray. Om Ajnanotimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah. श्रीरूपमनोभीष्टं प्रतिष्ठितं भूतले सारं रमणकदा मह्यं ददाति स पदान्तिकम् भजामि राधामरविन्दनेत्रां स्मरामि राधां मधुरस्मितोष्याम् वदामि राधां करुणाभरार्द्रां ततो मम नास्ति gati no kapi. May there be good fortune throughout the universe. May all envious persons be pacified. May all living entities become calm by practicing bhakti yoga. For by accepting devotional service, they will think of each other's welfare. Therefore, let us all engage in the service of the Supreme Transcendence, Lord Sri Krishna, and always remain absorbed in his thoughts. This prayer is spoken thousands of years, perhaps millions of years ago, by the 5-year-old boy Prahlad Maharaj, and quoted in Srimad Bhagavatam by Sri Krishna Dvaipayan Vedas 5,000 years back. And nothing can be more relevant than this in today's time and space. Now, this book, the named Silent Renaissance of Consciousness, that we are going to talk about today, Transcendental Love, that is the cover page and the back cover page here. The point I want to make here is, what is consciousness? The consciousness is a spark of the supreme consciousness that pervades throughout the creation, from the littlest of the little ant to Lord Brahma, who is the creator of this material universe. So this consciousness allows us to see, hear, talk, and walk. That is the spark of the energy that comes from the treasure of all energies, that is Lord Sri Krishna is. So who is Sri Chaitanya then? As you will see shortly, the table of contents of the book discuss mainly Sri Chaitanya, who he is, why he came, what he gave, and how he gave some transcendental message that transcends all the material geographical barriers, and the science beyond science, the transcendental science of devotion. So this consciousness really is the one that allows us to know who I am and why I am here, and who really is the creator that I am related to. He says in Bhagavad Gita that I am the grandfather, I am the grandmother and creator. Aham sarvasya prabhava matta sarvang pravartate iti matta bhajante mam buddha bhava samannita. I am the seed giving father. So that is the one, when we connect to, gives us the joy and happiness that we all are looking for in this world, in our pursuit of happiness, although temporary, and without the knowledge that this is not the ultimate happiness, which will lead to no other hankering, no other desire left when you have that. So this is the first. The book is divided into three parts. The first part talks about who, what, and why of Sri Chaitanya. Here, first thing we say that Sri Krishna is Sri Chaitanya. Now, questions might arise. If that is true, first of all, there is only one God. In here, in this world, whatever enterprise we see, it is run efficiently and effectively if there is only one commander. So the whole creation cannot have multiple commanders to create, maintain, and annihilate this creation. So if that is true, then why we have books and treatises that talk about 10 incarnations, 24 incarnations, Matsya, Baraha, Kurmo, Bhaman, Parashuram, Nrisingha, etc., etc. And now we are talking about Sri Chaitanya, who came just 540 years back, even though Sri Krishna was on this planet 5,000 years ago. Now we have to really understand the nature of the God and why these things happen. God, as mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Sri Krishna himself declares in Bhagavad Gita that he is the Supreme God. Matta paratarang nanyat kinchidasti dhananjayo moi sarvamidam protang sutre manigana ivo. I am the limit of the transcendence. There is no one beyond me in the spiritual world. And all the creation is really threaded around me like a thread used to prepare a necklace with beads. So, being that he is a person, supreme person. In Bible, he says that God created man in his own image. By that analogy, we understand that God is just like the form of human beings, 2 arms, 2 legs, face, and just like a human being, God has all the qualities, beauty, knowledge, renunciation. Only difference is we are composed of material elements, 5 elements like earth, water, air, fire, etc. And God is created the spiritual elements, that is Sat Chit Ananda. The soul of the jivas are also Sat Chit Ananda, but it is atomic and God is completely spiritual. That difference is eternal. So this one here, part 2 talks about how his impact really changed the whole landscape, tracing the timeless vibrations of love, devotion, and unity across continents. And you can see that throughout maybe hundreds of countries, this Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Nam Sankirtan movement has spread all over, transcending the barriers of geography, caste, and the people's different status in the society. Finally, as I mentioned earlier, the science of devotion talk in part 3. We'll try to find some time to discuss a few of these. Some of the reviewers say these are worth noting. I will not have time to go into this. For the sake of time, we'll just go into this lineage that starts from Krishna. Krishna gave the knowledge to Brahma, and our lineage is out of the 4 Vaishnava Sampradayas mentioned in Padma Puran is Sri, Rudra, Brahma, and Kumar. We are part of the Madhva Sampradaya, and we are called Brahma Madhva Gauriya lineage. So from Brahma to Narad to Vyas to Madhvacharya, and that's how the lineage really shunts to Madhavendra Puri who is the seed of loving the, you can say, supreme transcendental love that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bestowed on us. That is mentioned in the Vedas, and he has shown that the four Vedas, the Upanishads, and all the literature that are known as Vedas and pertain to that can be really considered to discuss and give us the final conclusion that transcendental love to Sri Krishna is the highest aim and object of the human beings, that will give them the supreme pleasure, bliss that you can only get from loving the treasure house of love. So Madhavendra Puri, as I mentioned, really is the seed, and then how this is linked to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He says, Ishwar Puri, Madhavendra Puri's disciples are Advaitacharya and Nityananda Prabhu, who are part of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's line of succession, and they are part of Panchatattva, as I will show next slide. And Ishwar Puri is disciple of Madhavendra Puri, who really gave the mantra to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this Panchatattva is real expansion of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Nityananda Prabhu is no other than Balaram, Advaita Acharya Mahavishnu and Sadashivs, and Gadadhar Pandit is Radharani, and Srivas Thakur is Narad Muni. So this is how we are really put in this lineage of Brahma Madhva Gauriya Sampradaya. So for this, the content of the book that starts with this statement, we all want peace. And no time is really more appropriate than now, when so many things in the world happening that takes us away from the pursuit of peace. Is this so important? What is peace? There are many definitions we can come across. One that is related to the cessation of war, one that is related to the setting or mindset that does not get agitated when there are sources of agitation present. That is also peace. But this really is upheld by the transcendental peace that you can only have by surrendering to the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. He says in Gita, peace in Sanskrit is termed Shanti. Om Shanti, Om Shanti. Many people are familiar with this song. So this Shanti is used in this verse from Gita, 18th chapter. Tamebo sharanam gaccho sarvato bhavena bharata. Tat prasadat param shantim sthanam prapsasi shashwatam. So that means the eternal peace can only be obtained by surrendering to the Lord. So the eternal peace can only be realized through bhakti yoga. That is the conclusion of the acharyas. The absolute truth can only be realized by surrendering to and serving with all means the realized souls who have seen the absolute truth. Now, there is another aspect of serving and worshipping. It transfers from serving the Supreme to his devotees, the realized souls. That is the key word here, who have seen the absolute truth. Tad viddhi pranipateno pariprasneno sevaya upodekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshina. That's the verse in Gita. What is Bhakti Yoga? We mentioned about Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu defines Bhakti as given by the verse by Rupa Goswami, Anyabhilashita Sunyam Jnana Karmadya Anabritam Anukulleno Krishnanushilanam Bhaktir Uttama. So that is the highest form of bhakti that is given by Srila Rupa Goswami, how we can achieve that by following these verse. We will not have time to get into details explanation of these verse, but basically the last line, what it says, Anukulleno Krishnanushilanam Bhaktiruttama. That means if you cultivate through your mind, body, and word all the time thinking about Krishna and talking about his pastimes and all, that is Anushilanam, that is considered the best, highest bhakti. Now, why Sri Chaitanya appeared in this world? I mentioned that, God has a nature. He is a supreme person. That is what we are, all human beings in his image. So our form, being he has some qualities, that is, he is supremely merciful. Those who worship him, those who spend time with him, they can realize it. You can only know a person if you work with that person, stay with him, and all you can really know. Otherwise is superficial nature. That is not his real nature. So he is also Rasik Shekhar, crown jewel of Rasik Shekhar. Now that needs a lot of explanation. We will not have time to delve into, because it requires the definition of what Ras is. But just suffice it to say that Ras is something that we all are looking for in our life. Without that, there is no life. A common adage is there is no life without wife. But basically, no life without association of people around you who can allow you to really taste, relish different forms of relationship, like friendship, like master servant relation, like father parent child relation, or lover beloved relation. So that is what Ras is, that makes it tasteworthy, those relations. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in this world to deliver that to us, so that we find it worthwhile to pursue the devotional science and then get that eternal bliss. How did he propose to spread the message of transcendental love? By freely distributing prema to all, regardless of qualification. Krishna even did not do that. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did that because he was influenced by the Srimati Radhika, who is the eternal consort of Sri Krishna. Although they are one, they separate into two to relish that love. And Sri Krishna did not understand, and that's why he came in the form of Sri Chaitanya, another personality, with the mood and complexion of Srimati Radhika to taste these three things: the glories of Sri Radhika's love, what Sri Radhika finds in Sri Krishna that attracts her to him, and how much she enjoys his love, what sentiments arise in her from loving him. That you can only relish if you take the borrow or steal or whatever way you can get the mood and complexion of Srimati Radharani. So that's how Sri Chaitanya had to come to this world to bestow that highest position of loving with the transcendental supreme being and his pastimes in the spiritual world, abode of Goloka. Now, he gave us several teachings that were not given before. He said that the aim and object of the Vedas, Vedas meaning all the literature that go under the title of Vedas, the four Vedas, Upanishads, and etc., etc. They is given in 15:15 Bhagavad Gita, Vedascha sarvair ahameva veddo vedantokrit vedavidevo chaham. Meaning that the aim and goal of Vedas is to know Sri Krishna. And he is the author and he is the one that is aimed instruction, uddishta. That is not sometimes directly mentioned, directly stated in the Vedas in some literature, but that is the aimed instruction that is called uddishta, object, and the instructions that are given that are specified instruction. It can be understood in our common family platform when you see the mother-in-law and daughter-in-law's relation. Mother-in-law tells her daughter some instructions to really instruct the daughter-in-law. So the specified instruction, it is to be understood that is aimed to develop love for Krishna. So the other thing that I wanted to just quickly mention, we are getting short of time, that aim and objective of Veda's teachings, Sri Krishna is the shelter and repose of everything in both the material and spiritual worlds, and knowing that loving him is the ultimate aim of the Vedas. And Sri Chaitanya wants to bestow esoteric Manjari Bhav, that is a special mood that Sri Radhika's maid servants have. Krishna wants to taste that. The Manjaris are special type of maid servants, little younger to Srimati Radhika, who is eternally 15 years, some months old, and 14 years, some months old. And Srimati Radhika is
Tanmoy, we lost you. We can't hear you. Hello?
I think he lost the network, maybe.
Yeah.
Just let's wait for a few minutes. He is still here.
We have lost the connection.
The
Yeah, it
audio
seems.
stopped.
But he's still here, I can see in the meeting. Yeah, he's muted. Tanmoy, please unmute yourself. We can't hear you.
Maybe you can call him separately also.
Yeah,
If you
let me
have the
just
number.
call.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. So I do I have a minute or so to go over the devotional song?
Yes.
Devotional science.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, so devotion, that is kind of my experience, is a perfect science of the soul. Soul is not created, not destroyed. It transmigrates from one body to another. That is the message of Gita, which really upholds the first law of thermodynamics. The soul in lower consciousness is elevated to higher consciousness by association with the soul in higher consciousness. That is the second law of thermodynamics. And perfection of the soul means zero entropy. That is what our goal is. So that really is the devotional science and the foundation of Guru Tattva, that we need to really surrender to a soul who is in higher consciousness, so that we can elevate ourselves to that higher consciousness, which really follows a process that is supramundane. It is not a natural process, it because it goes to lower entropy. All natural processes are going towards higher entropy. And entropy is something that may not be familiar with everyone here. That is simply a measure of the randomness or the chaos in the particular system. So, as we, mind is just like a monkey. So, the mind needs to settle down to lower and lower entropy to develop the bhakti and love to Krishna. And Krishna is the one who is the one who has the role model, you can say the highest emblem of the lowest entropy. There is the third law of thermodynamics says it is zero. So that's how we define the bhakti. And there is another aspect of material desire versus spiritual desire that can be summed up by the calculus concept, that if we try to fulfill our desires, material desires and wants, from negative to positive infinity, we might think that that will give us eternal happiness. But this is completely illogical and impractical, given our temporary nature of the world and body being temporary. But bhakti, which is the service to the Lord, that is transcendental service, it gives us that ananda, which is eternal, because the soul is eternal. It can continually do that even in the spiritual world itself. Thank you all for listening. And then, if we can always, this is just the beginning of this talk, that I introduced the concepts that are presented in the book. It's a 100-page book in 15 slides. It's quite a challenge.
Thank you, Tanmoyji. This
You
was
are welcome.
beautiful. This
And
was beautiful to get your another perspective on the book, and I think we got, at least I got a deeper understanding of the book by listening to what you said. Probably we can share the slides also with others because
sure.
having it written down is so nice. So at this time, I would like to open for question answers. Just because to the time, please limit your question to 1.5 a minute each when you ask the questions. Continue, please. Uh, Anyone have questions? Go ahead, raise your hands or unmute yourself.
Can we have a comment also rather than a question?
Yes, just keep it to within 2 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, I'll try it. The science and spirituality. Once I was listening to Dr. Or Professor Michio Kaku from City College of New York. He mentioned about Einstein's life while he was pulling away, through his bus to the lab from Austria. One of his, uh, basically, I'm trying to refer to 2:12, Gita verse, chapter 2:12, where Krishna mentions that there was never a time that you were not there, I was not there, and all the men or the kings, and there shall never be time in future also. So when Besso, the senior scientist to Einstein, he made a statement saying that there is no difference between past, present, and future, and that Einstein used to scratch his head about it, and that was kind of the seed for the theory of relativity. So once you are in the plane of or the speed of light, so to speak, then there is no difference in time. Time concept is really it ceases to exist, and that's what I think Krishna is referring to. So I found a convergence or a confluence of science and spirituality at that moment when I heard that story. While I was driving in the state of Washington through a jungle at night. So that's what I wanted to share. But at the same time, though, thank you for bringing the concept of entropy, random the measure of randomness or chaos, the second law of thermodynamics and third dynamics. I don't know whether I understood completely, especially the third law dynamics. If you, as a question though, if you can reiterate how so very briefly, Dr. Chakravarty, please, if you have time. So
Yeah,
that's
sure.
all I wanted to
Thank
share.
you. Do I have time to answer this?
Yes.
Okay. I'll try to make it very brief and simple. The thing I would like you to focus on your family room. If a guest is coming, the family room, everything needs to be organized, things in place. So you really put a nice show and tell before the guest. However, daily basis, the room really looks cluttered, things in random places that should not be there. And that is called entropy high. And as you try to organize them, you try to lower the entropy. Similarly, the mind that is in natural process that we conditioned souls have are, as I mentioned, like a monkey. It just, even Arjun, a devotee of Krishna, admits that it is easier to control air than your mind. So, given that it is at a high entropy state, and we can only really do bhakti. Bhakti is defined as love or worship of Krishna. So it has to be one pointed. Anannas chintayanto mam ye jana pari upasate tesham netta vijuktanam yogokshama bahamyam. Then only he really reciprocates in a way that he takes care of us in every way possible. So that stage cannot be a natural process. It has to be practiced, and the process we go through, that is what we talked about. Uh, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave us that Nam Sankirtan, and this is why really we have to practice to develop that state of lower entropy.
Yeah.
The third law of thermodynamics is what I wanted more though than second one. Second one I understood, and I understood everything that you said. I am also a PhD in mechanical engineering, so I do understand thermodynamics. So it made sense, the second law of thermodynamics, but that you reiterated. But the third one is what I really did not understand. So if you can please take another minute, if allowed by Manjariji or anybody else. That's where I was headed more, or I
Yeah,
didn't.
there are a lot more to say. But the thing is that the concept of entropy is like microstate and macrostate. So going a little bit into the terminologies, and say you take three letters A, B, and C. You can permute them in 6 different ways that you can understand. So that is possible if each of them has a separate identity. A, B, C. Now, if all of them become A's, then those 6 combinations just club into only one.
Mhm.
So that
Yes.
is what really the lowering entropy means. The microstates all, which is represented as the number of people in the world, each going in different directions, they all come together and do bhakti yoga and love for each other and love for Krishna. That makes us only one entity and the lowest entropy possible. And there are, believe me or not, they are verses in Vedas. In Rig Veda, it says, Sangachadhvam, Sangbadadhvam, Sangbo Manasi Janatam. That everybody, we all should work together, we all should walk together and speak the same thing. And with all our minds, we should worship the loving God. Then there will be peace. And that's why then the whole world will be peaceful.
This is
Thank
so
you.
this is so important. I think when the world is like so chaotic and there's a lot
Yeah.
of
So the treasure
restlessness.
house is there. We
Yes.
all being have the responsibility. Being born in Bharat Bhumi, we should be the one pioneering this heritage and distribute the treasure to all.
Thank you, Tanmoyji. Yeah, like being an engineer myself, this concept of thermodynamics, and it makes so much sense that we always think of the physical thermodynamics, but there's a whole mental energy, the consciousness where we are not able to reach because of all the chaos of the mental energy. And that's where we need to reach. And the bhakti is the mark for that.
What you just shared, Manjariji, if I may take less than a minute here, that comes from Vedas also. The terms used in the Vedas are Gyan and Karm. So everything has a counterparts in the subtle plane versus the physical plane or the manifested plane. So if you think the spiritual side in the subtle plane, and then the counterpart, when we say every image, as he pointed out about the Bible, all the men are the images of God. God is in the subtle plane, Nirakar, and men are in the karma bhumi, or the gross plane or the manifested plane. So if you can just keep in mind Gyan and Karm, lots of these things can be explained, and certain questions they become really mute questions if we can, and those comes directly from Vedas actually. So thank you. I don't want to take too much time.
Anybody else have questions, comments?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Dhanyavad. Very nice discussion. Very nice book also. I wanted to ask about this one-pointedness or this Kevala. What is the ultimate goal of us dovetailing our efforts and reducing entropy by practicing bhakti? Is it to mitigate suffering? Is it to get a better body in the next life? Or what's the ultimate goal or effect of performing these spiritual activities?
See, the ultimate goal, according to Sri Chaitanya instruction, is for us, so we all are spirit souls. That is the axiomatic platform that we use. Now, the spirit soul is part and parcel of the supreme soul, that is Krishna. He says, as I already stated in my discussion in Bhagavad Gita, he states all those in many places, and in other places also, in Upanishad, in Vedas, it is mentioned. So that being given, we both are Sanatana. That means eternally existing. We were there in the past, we are now, and we will be there in the future. So these two entities, Lord and the living entities, they are separate, but they are eternally existing, and they have a eternal relation because one is part of the whole. So the ultimate destination that will make the most stable arrangement between these two eternal entities is when we serve him. Like when we serve the whole, then we become part of the whole. Just like a son gets the biggest pleasure out of serving his parents, who he or she is part and parcel of. So that's why this is really the ultimate goal. But now that goal can be reached in steps depending on our effort. And this is not really attainable by effort only. There is another component to it, which is his mercy or grace. So whatever we do, see, we cannot cheat him in any way. If we do and we tell others that I have been 24/7 serving him, doing this, doing that, but what he is thinking about our service is this, that's what matters. That really counts. Then if he thinks that we are deserving, then he promotes us to his abode. And then we enjoy that eternal bliss by serving him there and associating with his eternal associates. In Kathopanishad, it says, Nayamatma prabhachane na labhyo na medhoya na bahuna shuteno. Yam evaisha brinute tena labhyas tasvaisha atma vibrinute tanum shyama. What it means is one soul he really thinks is deserving, he reveals himself to that soul. You cannot just put a gun on his head and tell that, reveal yourself. And he does that. It's not bhakti, it's not love.
Yes. And I think that kind of gave another thought that, in a way, you trying to be like Krishna, right? Like you do your work, you do your karma, but you are never caught up with it. You are always in a peaceful state of mind, and you are never attached to the karma. And that's why then you will always do the right karma.
Exactly, exactly. And only if you practice and you surrender to a realized soul in this world, then that particular grace or mercy comes through him. It's like a channel. Otherwise, you become proud.
Any more questions? We have time for one more question.
Yeah, I don't know what part of the book necessarily we're reviewing here, but I think as I was reading it, the most compelling section to me was the third chapter around how the laws of thermodynamics and Hinduism intersect. I think specifically one of the questions that I had coming out of the book was I didn't really fully understand how, like conceptually, it kind of makes sense that if you look at the equation of entropy, then the practice of and I won't say Hinduism specifically because religion in general, many people may feel this way, leads to, I think you said, lower entropy. But can you just kind of explain that a little bit further?
You want me to explain that lower entropy with peace?
Yeah.
Yeah, that as I said, you start from the premise that in general, for ordinary souls, mind is behaving like a monkey here and there all over the map. Now, doing bhakti and especially ananya bhakti, that means, you really put your mind, everything, manasa karmana bachena, you to worship him, to love him, to do things for him, as if you and he are the only two entities present in the whole creation. And that way it becomes one pointed, and that is one, because if you serve someone, in generally in this world we have seen the person you associate with, you get his or her qualities, you imbibe them. Same way here, you imbibe the qualities of Krishna, which is infinite, and you will be able to give him pleasure. And that is the ultimate goal by following the process of lowering the entropy by bhakti yoga.
But it sounds to me like the core of what you're saying is not necessarily about, and I'm not contradicting it. I'm just saying the core of what you're saying that I'm taking away is that the monkey mind is focused on so many things that it actually creates more chaos in our mind, in our soul over time, and that that kind of follows the laws of thermodynamics naturally. And what you're saying is that by practicing bhakti yoga and actually narrowing the scope of our focus to really be one track minded on serving Krishna in this case, that's really where we reduce, I guess, the entropy of our mind and our soul.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Entropy concept is, take more time to explain. As I was talking about macro state and micro state, if a macro state and micro state becomes only one, then just know that
I think
Muted again. Is he
entropy
muted?
becomes the lowest. In
Okay,
general,
yeah.
macro states for one macro state. Like, pardon
I
me?
think we lost your audio for a
Muted?
second.
Am I
Yeah.
muted?
No, you're good
we can-
now, but we lost your audio for a
Yeah.
minute.
If I may direct to our discussion to the last verse of Gita, Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna Yatra Partha Dhanurdhara, Tratasri Vijayo Bhruti Dhruva Nitirmatir Mama, Sanjay says it to Dhritarashtra. That also speaks to this one. If you wherever there is Krishna and Arjun, and mind it, each word is always significant in any of the verses, Sanskrit verses these days, in the scriptures. So Yogeshwar Krishna, and then so that's Gyan. He is basically embodiment of knowledge. And then Dhanurdhar birth. So Dhanurdhar, he picks the bow and then shoots it, so to speak. So he is symbol of karma. So Gyan and Karma together, if they're aligned, then you will have all parameters of success, like Sri, opulence, or Lakshmi, or Bhruti Dhruva, your pride and victory and all that. So you can think along that line also, that the two are becoming one through that bhakti marg. And in the practical life also, if you can identify the subtle part of anything, any effort that you're taking, going with the manifested part, the karma part, and create the alignment, then the probability of success will peak, right?
Yeah.
So the sambhavana will be at parakastha, at the peak. So that's what that verse talks to me like that, in the practical life as well, which is the last verse of Gita.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah,
So we
thank
are
you.
now kind of reaching towards the end of our program. So thank you, Tanmoyji. It was like beautiful book and even more beautiful presentation. Like I felt my consciousness rose a little bit by reading your book and then listening to you. So thank you so much. Give a round of applause to Tanmoyji.
All are welcome, and thank you all for listening. I'm really indebted to you all to give me the opportunity to discuss this. And anyone has any specific question, I can be reached through this platform. Manjari and Pooja Kumari, they know my contact credentials, so feel free to reach out. Thank you.
Namaste, pranam.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Dandavad, Dandavad, Dandavad.
Have a blessed day and rest of your life.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Manjari ji, I think you can invite them to purchase a book, or if they need any help in this
Please, yeah,
case.
everyone has the link to the book, right? So please purchase, read,
Yes,
ask more
sir.
questions as you get chance.
Hare Krishna. I'll see everybody at the temple in 1 hour.
Okay, thank you.
Very well written book, Tarun Prabhu. I liked it so much, especially the first page of the book that attracted me most. And
that is a painting by Shamarani Didi.
Yeah, but you
He has a
choose the
center
right.
in Miami.
You choose the right painting, and that is itself the bhakti yoga. Nothing else is needed. That can lead us, make us reach the supreme place. Nothing else is needed. The supreme bhakti is being painted in the first page of the book. So whether you read the last page or not is not important. No entropy, no thermodynamics is needed, just bhakti. And we all know what bhakti is. Beautiful book. I liked it so much. We can discuss about this so much. Beautiful book.
And this is who is making this comment?
Who is making this comment? Premen Goswami.
Oh,
Premen Prabhu.
Thank you, Premen Prabhu. This is another person who inspired me so much. And we have by the way, I forgot to mention to whoever are there now, they can know we have two classes
some other things
every
also,
week.
but overall the book is good.
And he is part of that participant, Premendra Goswami.
Yeah, Tanmoy Prabhu.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. You could have joined there so everybody else could hear.
I did join, but then I was talking and you couldn't hear me. I was in the call.
Okay, you have a question?
Yeah, my question is, are we going to have the class today or?
Yeah, we can, because of most of it, all I have to do is send the link through the WhatsApp group.
Anyway, then let's go today because you are tired, because you were explaining and talking and saying everybody. And
no, we can just, we don't have to go through the whole, time duration. Just kind of cool down instead of warming up.
So what location are we talking about when somebody said we are going to see you in an hour or so at the temple?
That is our temple location in Houston.
Houston. Okay.
We have Govindaji Gauriya Mott.
Okay, thank you.
I think we have to end the session now. Thank you everyone for joining. Jai Shri Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Jai Shri
Thank you
Krishna.
everyone for joining.
So thank you all for joining, and thank you
for-
Manjari ji again and Pooja ji.
Thank you for
Thank you very
hosting it.
much. Thank you.